before we start, I just want to say, these permanent fixture on my face now. Kids, look after your eyes. You got 2 of them, and when they don't want to work anymore, you have to put these on, and these are annoying. Hello everybody, so this is the second episode video in the nostalgic reads, where I realise how old I am and how long ago I read things, and then talk about things that I haven't read in years and why they were so good and why I love them so much. And this seemed to go well last time when I spoke about the Twilight Saga, so I decided to do another one. And this time I'll be talking about Jacqueline Wilson books, which you can see I have a lot of them. So yes, the first ever Jacqueline Wilson book that I ever read was this one, Sleepovers, which is really little, and I think I had some help with this. Like, when did this come out? Does it say? 2001. I read this book, so I was 6. I really liked it. The thing that I like about Jacqueline Wilson and her writing and why I liked them so much when I was a kid was because she wasn't like, obviously she didn't write adult books, but she wrote more about topics that were like prominent, that were happening. So for example, in Sleepovers and stuff, she wrote the one girl, this one, who looks evil, doesn't she? She was like a bully, and the one girl had a sister that was disabled. The thing that I think about when I think about Jacqueline Wilson's books, and when I think about reading them young, because I think that I probably read Jacqueline Wilson books maybe a little bit too young. I remember reading some of them and wondering what things were and what things meant. But I think the thing that I really liked about it, and the thing that helped me when I was younger, was that I was reading things like Harry Potter and fantasy kind of books and worlds that were different, whereas these books really touched on real life situations and real life topics and introduced me to things like that. So I became more aware of situations like that, and I think that helped me understand things that were going on around me. It touched on topics that kids' books don't normally, because I would consider this a kids' book, definitely. I like that, I like that she does that. I'm sure that many people are aware of Tracy Beaker. I'm sure it's a blast into the past for a lot of you. Oh wow, I haven't thought about Tracy Beaker in years, and then when I was sorting through my bookshelf, as I said, the reason that this nostalgic series came about is that I was clearing some stuff out and found loads of things and was like, I'm old. Yeah, Story of Tracy Beaker. I remember watching this on CBB. Wasn't CBBC? It was on the BBC channel, wasn't it? You know, about a girl called Tracy who lives in a children's home, and if you lived in England, this would have been a big part of your childhood, Tracy Beaker. Well, everybody watched it, get her from school and put Tracy Beaker. I'm sure that other people in different countries do know, but I'm sure England's the main thing. I remember just watching it all the time. It sent me back into the past and thinking about, you know, the fact that I used to read these all the time and I used to watch the show. It was so good, it was so funny. I'm gonna have to find like an episode of it now, like an old episode, and just cringe at it, because I bet it's so cheesy now and like so like but I'm gonna have to do that. For one Christmas I got this box set which Tracy Beaker was in and then with it was the Suitcase Kid and the Bread and Breakfast Star, which I also remember reading and liking. Again, with the series issues, Tracy Beaker is about a girl that's in a foster home. This one is about someone that loses their house, they move into a bread and breakfast. And the Suitcase Kid is about someone that's parents split up. And I knew these things happened and was aware of that kind of thing, but it wasn't something that was happening in my life. So like, again, these books sort of opened my eyes, you know, and explained lots of things to me and showed me lots of things, and I think that's really good and a good thing to get from a book, when it actually teaches you stuff as well as is entertaining and enjoyable. One of the other books by Jacqueline Wilson that I read, I still read this in primary school, and that was Love Lessons. Now this book, I would say, is probably a little more for older kids. a 7-year-old probably wouldn't read this. I think I was about 9 and I still think I was probably a bit too young. This is about a girl who is homeschooled and she starts going to a public school, and then she kind of really likes her art teacher, and she doesn't have an affair with him, but they get close and I think they kiss at one point as well. And it probably is a little bit more adult, not adult, but you know, probably for 11 and 12-year-olds, not 9 and 9-year-olds. Yes, I remember reading this and feeling like I shouldn't be reading it. Like it was getting to certain bits and I was just like, oh, bit, I shouldn't be reading this. Does anybody else have that with this one? Because I just sort of, it probably isn't when I look at it such a drastic difference from her other books, but from what I'd read and the order of her books that I'd read them in, it was for me, and I remember being like, oh, bit more, probably should have not read this one at the time. I sort of felt a bit bad. And the last, like, children's one, if that makes sense, that I read was Candy Floss, which is one of my top 5 favourite books still, I think. I loved this book very much. I got this when I was in secondary school. I got this for my 11th birthday, but I remember reading this, and this is about a girl called Floss who she spends the weekends with her dad. Her parents are divorced. She has a stepdad who is going to be moving to Australia for his work, and her mum and her little half brother is going with them, and they want her to go as well, but she decides actually no, and she's going to stay with her dad. And her dad runs a chip shop, but he's kind of struggling for money and all that kind of thing, and I love this book so much. I don't know what it was about it, but I remember sitting and reading it on my birthday and not stopping until I'd finished. And I haven't read it in years, and then because all of my like children's books at the bottom of my shelf, when I was sorting through everything, I saw it and I remembered how much I loved it, and I was like, I need to reread this, I have to reread this. Like, I didn't reread all of her books when I was doing this, but I read my favourites and I reread this and I love it. I really like this, talking about old books, because even though I know I'm rambling, I know that you guys, you know, like being book people, a lot of you are book people, I feel like you get it and you get what it's like to be so in love with books and authors, and to think about things that books have taught you and things that they've made you feel, and to think back to all of that and be like, oh my god, like especially with like Tracy Beaker, and thinking, I used to come home from school and watch it on TV and all that kind of thing, and it just, yeah, it brings back a lot of memories, and I like talking about them with you. I like bringing back books that people don't really talk about anymore, and like, I'd like, if I ever had kids, I'd like them to read some of these books, you know, they taught me a lot, they made me think a lot, and they were good. So yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, I love you all very much. I hope you're doing good, and if you're not, then I hope you're doing good soon, and I love you lots. Cheesy hand hearts. Yes. Okay, I will talk to you guys on Wednesday. Thank you for watching. Bye! I just dropped the book on the floor. I really can't be bothered to actually bend down and pick that up.